Alrighty, folks. So this is a question that we get from time to time from directors who are dealing with interpersonal relation issues with their staff. And the question is, how do you manage conflict? How do you do conflict resolution among your staff? If you've got a couple of people on your staff who are really going at each other and not getting along, not working. I mean, if it's just those two people that are affected, it's usually something that can work itself out, or that can go. But if those two people lead other people, very often you end up having two entire departments totally kind of pitted against each other. It can really affect your organization. And so one of the things that I know I've tried to do is instill an open door policy to at least my core executive team and even any managers that work for them. And so I do have to block off time, and I'll have closed door times if I've really got to crunch a deadline for a grant or something like that. But I try to have a very open environment for people to come in and talk. I think one of the things that's done, however, is it's achieved what I wanted it to achieve, which was real-time information and people feeling comfortable to come in. Sometimes they come in to give information, sometimes it's for advice, sometimes it's help me make a decision real quick, I can't wait for the meeting. And sometimes they're just there to vent to you and vomit on you and regurgitate. Sometimes it's a ministry moment, it's a real kind of ministry moment. But I think one of the things, unfortunately, that I think it's done is, and I see this happen too with other sites where the executive director will get kind of chummy or buddy with their core team, and you do want to have a good relationship with them, but you want it to be a good professional relationship with them, and so the lines can kind of get blurred. And one of the things I've noticed is, and I don't think anybody sets out to do it. Any of my team sets out to do it, but what ends up happening is when you create that very friendly environment, that very open environment, sometimes, maybe even without knowing, I don't think it's malicious, but sometimes people end up using you like a puppet. You know, you'll get. Here's kind of how it'll happen is two directors will be working for you, and they'll have a disagreement about something. They just can't come to terms, and they're not able to work it out or don't have time to work it out, and so sometimes what will happen is I'll get one director who'll come to me, and they always say something like this, like, I don't expect you to do anything. This is just for your information. And I'm like, yeah, I know that drill by now, right? So they'll say something about this other director, and I'll be like, inside I'll be like, man, what are you talking about? Like, something's got to be done about that. Of course, something's got to be done. This is not good. And so the trap that you as the leader have to stay out of is the trap is this vicious cycle that you can get drawn into, where that one staff gives you a report about what's going on and expects something to be done or hopes something will be done. And so then what do? You go and you meet with that other staff, or the next time they're in your office, you bring it up, and of course they have a totally different standpoint about it, and they bring in all these other facts, these other ideas about it, and you're like, okay, well now I'm back to square one, and then they leave, and then the other leader who filed the original sort of allegation or whatever comes back to you and is like, hey, did you get a chance to talk to them? And then you're like, yeah, well, I talked to them, and they had some other things to say, like, I think you should go to talk to them. You should go talk to them, and so, but then they'll have another counter argument. And so what ends up happening is, when two people who work for you, who are kind of at the same level in the organization, they don't feel like either one of them has the authority over the other to make them do what they feel is right. And so you kind of get pulled in this kind of vicious cycle of, like, you're just a puppet. You're just a puppet. They're putting their hand in, they're trying to get you to talk a certain way, and they're trying to get you to do what they can't do with that person because they don't have the rapport or the relationship or whatever. So you get stuck in this cycle. And so what I've learned to do is try to catch the moment in the first report. So the first time someone comes to me with a report about another director or another person, I really, when I sense it coming, even if they say things like, I don't expect you to do anything, or I just thought you'd like to know, or or hey, what do you think about this? And you know darn well what's going on, like you're wise to it, right? What I've tried to do is say, hey, I don't know that I'm going to have a lot of time to really go and talk to them about this. Would you mind helping me? Why don't you go talk to them first? Just go talk to them again. Take one of the other core executive members and see if you guys can figure it out, and try to do that first, and then come back to me and let me know. Both of you come back together, and then we'll talk it through as a three group. And so what I've tried to do is remove myself from that back and forth, jumping around, just kind of nonsense that some leaders, and again, that I don't think they mean to do it. I think they think that because you respect them, because you love them, and because you got an open door policy with them, I think they believe that no matter what they tell you, you're going to take their side, but what they fail to realize is that other person, sometimes they're wrong. Like sometimes they're wrong and the other person is right, and you're going to agree with that other person. So what I've tried to do is stay out of this death spiral where you're going back and forth all the time, and just tell them that there's a model for this in Matthew 18. It's that if you go out against your brother, you go to your brother, and then if that doesn't work out, then you bring someone else along, you bring another peer along, and you all try to work it out that way. And then if that doesn't work it out, like everybody come to me and we'll deal with it as a group. And so one of the things I've noticed is that if I'm able to catch it, because sometimes I still get sucked in, like emotionally or whatever, but if I'm able to catch it, boy, has it, I'll tell you what it's done is it's stopped the flow, because your agency goes through different seasons, and sometimes the season you're in is one of like an attack, like there's just everybody's working against each other, and you just go through those seasons, and you try to work it out. Everybody goes to church, and we have regular meetings, we try to work it out together, but those little sort of undercut things, people hitting up other people on the down low, that stuff happens, And so I think what my advice is, and what I found that really works well, is to, as soon as the moment you notice it's happening, to say, hey, have you gone to them? Have you talked to them directly about this? I'm going to ask you just to, in respect of my time, because if you leave it up to me, I'm probably not going to talk to them for a couple weeks. This is a priority to you, but honestly, I've got some grant deadlines, and I just kind of play it off as you going to them directly is what you should do, but also you going to them will very much help me out, because I always say that I know there's other things here, and have you gone to them directly? And if the answer is yes, they've gone to them directly, and I ask them, and they say, well, we just can't work it out. I say, well, go get one of the other executives, have a meeting, and see if there's another perspective that maybe you guys haven't seen yet, and I'll advise them to do that. And if that still can't work, which usually that works out, then I'll say, well, why don't you both schedule a meeting with me, and let's talk it through together. And honestly, what I found is when you're there, and I've done this on multi-site, at a multi-site level between director and director. I've done it with people who work just a couple offices away. What I found is that you just being on the phone, or you just being a part of the meeting as the referee, works really well. The tendency is, when you get that one report, that one-sided report, the tendency is, well, I'm just going to go talk to this person and they'll fix it. Yeah, they need to do their paperwork different. But rarely is it ever stopped there. Almost every time you get sucked into this cycle of back and forth, and you're just a ping pong ball in the middle of two people who should be working it out themselves. And so I hope that's been helpful to you. Again, the situation, you've got two people that work for you, they're not getting along about a bus schedule or a gas P card or purchase card or contract or something, and so they come try to play that parent game, what you can't get one thing, so you go to the other parent. And so what I've learned to do is to just be very, very frank with them and say, have you gone to them? Have you really sat down and just had a one-on-one about this meeting? If the answer is yes, then then here's what I suggest: go and get so and so who's also at their level, and have a meeting, the three of you, and see if maybe they can't, because I always pump them on. They're very wise in this area. Maybe they'll see something you guys don't see. And then I say, if that still doesn't work, then you get that other person. You guys schedule a meeting with me together, and let's just save all these steps in between and work it out together. And it's a Matthew 18 model, and if you can stick with it, it'll save you a lot of time and a lot of headache. And honestly, one of the things you'll find is, even in Christian environments, even in church environments, parachurch ministries like ours, even in these environments, you still have sometimes gossip. You still have unprofessionalism. You still have people who, gosh darn it, they're just acting like people, trying to hurt each other, and trying to just get their way. And boy, when you got two leaders, especially if they have teams under them, boy, that kind of stuff could just become a real cancer. And so I've literally had leaders where I've had them on corrective action plans together, saying your personal improvement plan is that you two have to fix your professional relationship together, because that's affecting the rest of the team. I can't do that. I can't tell you to smile at this person and be nice and friendly and know it in your heart. Like, you got to work this stuff out, and I'll be a part of it after I know that you guys have talked it through together and that it's not just a one-sided argument. So I hope that's been helpful. I am pulling up to the Dream Center. It is 116 degrees outside, and there is a homeless family with a baby trying to get in. Alrighty. God bless you guys. Bye-bye.